today we are going to explore how to use sound strategies, consonance, assonance, and alliteration to create an overall or dominant tone in your poem. Now, what sort of tone are you going for? Is it softer and happier, or is it harder and a little bit more negative or in your face? If you are creating and going for a softer type of tone, then you're going to want to consider certain types of sounds versus a harder tone to your poem. You're going to want to consider different categories of sounds there. So I want you to take a look at the chart here, and I want you to notice how the sounds from top to bottom start soft and get harder, harder, harder. And I want you to pause the video and I want you to try saying not the name of the letter itself, but the sound that it creates. And I want you to notice how the liquids just roll off your tongue, like love and ally and water and yellow and row. You could draw these sounds out and keep them going. And that's how you know that they're liquids. They're words that just you can keep that going, or yeah, or wah. They have some ability to expand, and you can emphasize them in ways that you can't those harder sounding sounds. So liquids are emphasized through kind of emphasis and drawing them out. Plosives, the lowest category here, those are emphasized with volume. So try saying the liquids, try saying the nasals. Those should kind of tickle your tongue if you're doing them right. And those are still soft sounding letters. Now, as we move to the fricatives and plosives, those are harder sounding consonants because they're produced in your mouth through friction or vibration, or even kind of blasting open with your lips or your tongue. And these cannot be prolonged. These are the hardest of the consonants down here. So words like electric, good, peculiar, book. So you're again emphasizing these with volume towards the bottom, whereas the liquids you're emphasizing by drawing them out. You can do this with vowels as well. So there are short vowel sounds, the a, the e, the I, the a, the and the harder vowel sounds where the vowels say their own names, like a, e, I, o, u. And the difference between these, again, if you're using these long vowel sounds, it helps to create a harder sounding tone in your poem versus those short vowel sounds that do sound like the liquids and nasals, softer and more musical. So you have like the oo in uber and the in above and the I in imprint. Those can be drawn out. Versus the A and the E and the I. So these words themselves end up sounding and conveying very different tones from each other due to the sounds that are in those words. And you might find a word that has a softer sound thrown into the mix, but if the dominant sounds in that word come from harder sounding letters, then that's a hard sounding word. So something that you might do real quick is to think of what tone you want your poem to have, and I want you to brainstorm 2 or 3 consonant sounds to include in your words throughout your poem. And I want you to brainstorm words with those sounds as the dominant sounds, and try to think of words that have that sound at the beginning, words that have that sound in the middle, words that have the sound at the end. And you can include the sounds through your poem to establish your tone. And you can also use them very purposefully to shift your tone. Maybe your tone starts off as harder, but then shifts halfway through to become softer and more reflective. You can use your sounds in the words that you're choosing to convey that. So this is just another example of how you can be purposeful with your diction. And it's not just that you're throwing any old word into your poem, you're being really purposeful about the connotations of those words. And part of connotation that we don't necessarily think of is why a word conveys that certain feeling that it does. Well, chances are that it implies through the sounds that it is composed of that harder or softer tone, in addition to whatever we might associate with the word. So food for thought for today. And if you're really cooking with gas, I want you to think about your tone, brainstorm some consonant sounds, maybe make a little charty chart, and think of different and unusual words that will definitely repeat those sounds throughout your poem so that you can help to create a cohesive tone. And as we move on and talk in another video about rhyme, and you'll be hearing from another teacher about assonance and consonance and alliteration, it's something to consider there as well. Anytime you're using a sound device, you need to consider the quality of the sounds that you are using in those words. So again, it's not just using consonants or assonance for the fun of it because it's cool. You are repeating those sounds. Why? Because it helps to send a certain message, because it helps to establish a certain tone in your poem. You're not just randomly rhyming words, but you're rhyming those words because you want to not only show connection between those words, but also help to repeat those sounds. I mean, near rhymes, we're going to talk about this. Near rhymes are created by virtue of a repeated sound because those words sound similar, and it creates that link in the listener's mind. So just be really aware of the quality of the letters in your words and the tones that they may convey to your listener. And this is something subtle that you can do to really make your poem stand out.